Hey guys, this is the Movie Hour. I'm your host Danny, and alongside me, my co-host and sister Vanessa.
Hi.
The Movie Hour is your friendly neighborhood podcast where we talk about and make fun of all our favorite films, from the good, the bad, and the downright ridiculous. In this episode, we will be talking about the 1957 legal drama 12 Angry Men. So, get your tickets, grab your popcorn, sit back, make yourselves comfortable, and enjoy this episode of the Movie Hour. 12 Angry Men is a 1957 legal drama film directed by Sidney Lumet, who is a very underrated director in my eyes. He's directed many great films, including Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, Murder on the Orient Express, The Wiz, and Running on Empty, to name a few. And I love Dog Day Afternoon and Serpico. Those are both Al Pacino movies. Have you ever seen those?
No, I haven't seen any of those
No,
movies.
you gotta watch it.
I know.
And Running on Empty is one of my favorite River Phoenix movies.
All right.
And I'm a big River Phoenix guy, so.
Love it.
This is based on 12 Angry Men, a 1954 television play by Reginald Rose, which was then adapted to a stage play and then to this masterpiece of a film. Usually I'll include the film's cast, but I think I'll do it when I begin the summary. I think it makes more sense, since there's a cast of 12 characters and the characters really don't have names.
Yeah.
They're just numbers, basically. So we'll get to that when we do the summary. It has a runtime of 96 minutes, so an hour and 36 minutes, so pretty short.
Yeah.
And can be watched on Amazon Prime, Tubi, and Pluto TV for free as at the time of this recording. This is one of the few films that I think everybody should watch at least once. It's so well written, directed, acted. It's great.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Yeah. When did you watch this? Do you remember, like, when you
First
saw
watched
it? Yeah.
Do
you remember?
Probably had to been in the summer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you just barely recently?
Yeah, maybe like 3-4 months ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I watched this in high school.
Oh, yeah. No, not me.
Yeah. So that's why I like this film, and I've watched it probably about 5 times now.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Quick watch.
Lots of good stuff. Lots of good lessons. I love this film.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah, it is very good. So, as we dive in, be warned there are spoilers ahead. So, without further ado, let's begin. So, the film begins on a hot summer day in the New York County Courthouse. The trial phase has just concluded for an impoverished 18-year-old boy accused of killing his abusive father. And I'm just thinking, is this the Menendez brothers' father or what?
Right? Yeah, right. It's very on par with that.
I know, right? Well, that's always like a big trope, killing the abusive father.
I'm all for it.
Yeah. The judge instructs the jury that if there is reasonable doubt, the jurors must return a verdict of not guilty. If the defendant is found guilty, he will receive a mandatory death sentence via the electric chair. The verdict must be unanimous, so all 12 members of the jury must vote the same. So I'll go ahead and discuss the cast. There's 12 of them, and only 2 are kind of mentioned to have names, and we only get their last names at the very end. So I'm just gonna go with Juror 1, Juror 2, and so on. So Juror 1 is Martin Balsam. He's the foreman. He's a calm and methodical assistant high school football coach. Number 2 is played by John Fielder, a meek and unpretentious bank teller who is easily flustered but eventually stands up for himself. Number 3 is Lee J. Cobb. He's a hot-tempered owner of an answering service who is estranged from his own son. And he's very passionate of the guilty verdict in this film. Number 4 is played by E.G. Marshall, an unflappable, conscious, and analytical stockbroker who is only concerned with facts, not opinions. Number 5 is played by Jack Klugman, and I like this guy. He's in The Twilight Zone.
That's a good show.
Yeah, he's in a few episodes. I just thought this was funny. He's a Baltimore Orioles fan. That's one of the things that we learn about this guy. Who grew up in a violent slum and is sensitive to bigotry towards slum kids. Number 6 is played by Edward Binns. He's a tough but principled and courageous house painter who stands up to others, especially over the elderly being verbally abused. Number 7 is Jack Warden, an impatient and wisecracking salesman who is more concerned about a Yankees game he is missing than the actual case. For real, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like that's kind of accurate. I'd be a little upset.
Well, yeah, you pay all this money and, you got to do court, or what is it called? Jury duty?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah. Number 8 is the lead juror, and he's played by Henry Fonda. He's probably the most famous actor in this cast. He's a humane, justice-seeking architect and father of three who initially is the only one to question the evidence and vote not guilty. In the closing scene, we're also revealed his last name, which I'll get there when we, I guess, finish up the story. Number 9 is Joseph Sweeney, a thoughtful and intelligent elderly man who is highly observant of the witnesses' behavior and their possible motivations. And we also get to see what, or I guess, get to know what his last name is as well. They're the only two characters that we ever know their name, anything about them. Number 10 is played by Ed Begley. He's a pushy, loudmouth, and xenophobic garage owner. Number 11 is George Vosovic. He's a polite European watchmaker and a naturalized American citizen who demonstrates strong respect for a democratic value such as due process. And number 12 is played by Robert Weber, an indecisive and easily distracted advertising executive. So we got a bunch of people from all walks of life. You got a high school coach. You got a let me see, an advertising executive. You got a watchmaker, an owner of a small business.
Yeah.
You got an architect, and then salespeople, painter. So you got just everybody from every walk of life.
Yeah, they're all different classes.
Yep.
Yet all the same race.
Huh.
Yeah, put that one in the back of your noggin. Think about that one in a minute.
This is what, 1957? So yeah, you know what that. So, at first the case seems clear. There's a neighbor testified to witnessing the defendant stab his father from her window through the windows of a passing elevated train. Another neighbor testified that he heard the defendant threaten to kill his father and the father's body hitting the floor. Then, as he ran to the doors, he saw the defendant running down the stairs. The boy had recently purchased a switchblade of the same type that was found, wiped the fingerprints at the murder scene, but claimed he lost it. So, at first seems like a pretty cut and dry case. Everything pointing against the guy, against the kid, I guess.
Yeah. Everything lines up.
Yeah, everything lines up at first. But, like they always say, the devil's in the detail.
Oof. So true.
So true. So, in the preliminary vote, all the jurors vote guilty except Juror 8, who believes that there should be some kind of discussion before the verdict. And I agree. I think there should be something,
Yeah, come on.
At least
let's chat a little bit
about something. I mean,
about something. Jeez.
You're gonna put a guy's life.
I mean, he's gonna die.
Yeah, he's gonna die.
So let's maybe put a little effort.
Right. This isn't just I robbed some bread off the bakery. This is like something with a death penalty.
Yeah, this is not looking good.
You're right. So I agree. I think there should be some kind of discussion.
Yes.
He says that he cannot vote guilty because reasonable doubt exists.
All right. Now we're getting into it.
Right. So when his first few arguments, including producing a recently purchased knife nearly identical to the murder weapon that was thought to be unique, seemingly failed to convince any of the other jurors, Juror 8 suggests a secret ballot in which he will abstain. So he basically wants the other, 11 to vote?
Yep.
And basically he says, if everybody votes the same, I'll vote with you. And there's something to this because this guy, number 8, he's very courageous in the way that he's standing up to a bunch of people who really just want to get it over with.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And, have you ever heard of this experiment that, I don't know if it has a name, but basically they got a person that's not involved in the experiment.
Yes.
And let's just say 20 other people are involved. They know what's going on.
Yes.
And basically they say, okay, we're going to do some questions. And they say, 1 plus 1. And everybody, 2. Yeah. And then they go 2 plus 2. And then the person that's not in on the experiment says, well, 4.
Right.
And everybody else says 3.
Right.
And so many times, I forgot this statistic, but so many times that person will flip.
Yeah.
Just because of the social pressure. It's like, whoa. Even though it's wrong.
Right.
That you'll flip. So that guy has, he sticks to his values, and I can respect that.
Yeah, it can't be easy to especially in a high pressure situation like this. I can't imagine that it would be easy to go the opposite way and not only go the opposite way, but you're the only person that thinks that.
Right.
That can't be easy. I mean, I think you're right. They just want to get it over with. They want to go on with their lives. To them, this is nothing but another Wednesday afternoon.
Right.
But this is someone's life on the line. So I appreciate his, like you said, his courage to go the opposite way and maybe just see what else is under the story.
Yeah. No, exactly. And then even more when people are like telling you like, come on, man, like just
yeah.
on.
Also, yeah, exactly. They're so this is a rowdy crowd.
Yeah.
Some of them are rowdy. Some of them can be, polite, but a lot of them are rowdy, so that's not easy.
They're pretty aggressive. They kind of remind me of like the Bikini Bottom Knights from SpongeBob. They're like super aggressive.
They're very, very aggressive. Very, I'm right. Do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
But yeah, no, I agree. It's not, it's not an easy crowd.
No, it's not an easy crowd. So let's see. So after the ballot, it's revealed that only one or an additional one voted not guilty, and it's revealed to be Juror 9, the old man, and that he changed his vote and he respects Juror 8's motives and agrees that there should be more discussion. Juror 8 argues that the train noise would have obscured everything the second witness claimed to have overheard. Juror 5 and 11 then changed their votes. Jurors 5, 6, and 8 further questioned the second witness's story and questioned whether the death threat was a figurative of speech.
Right.
After looking at a diagram of the witness's apartment and conducting an experiment, the jurors determined that it is impossible for the disabled witness to have made it to the room or made it to the door in time.
Right.
Juror 3, infuriated, argues with them and tries to attack Juror 8, yelling a death threat basically at him.
Yeah.
So jurors 5, 6, and 7 physically restrained Juror 3, and jurors 2 and 6 also changed their votes. So now the jury is evenly split, 6 guilty and 6 not guilty.
Tensions are high.
Tensions are high, and things have changed quickly.
Yeah, it does change pretty quickly. I do appreciate their effort of doing this experiment.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's important to figure out, hey, did this actually happen, or is this just he said, she said?
Right.
Which I guess the only person who knows is the person that was there, but still, it's important to try. So I do appreciate that. When I first watched it, I was like, I can't believe they're actually like redoing this, basically.
Yeah.
Like reenacting it.
Yeah.
Which I can't imagine is easy, but yeah, no, I appreciate that.
And then one thing I also wanted to note on this is like the way I'm explaining this, it's trying to do my best to explain what's going on, and there's a bunch of numbers, and it can get a little confusing who's who because there's no names.
Oh yeah.
But I guess one other thing that I don't think I can do the review, the podcast justice is how good the dialogue is.
Yeah.
This film is a lot about dialogue and what's going on between the characters, and because at times at the beginning when he said let's have let's discuss it,
right,
they were like, okay, what about baseball?
Right.
And the guy's like, well, the Yankees, and then the other guy, the Orioles, and that's what they're going back and forth instead of the case.
Right.
And the executive guy, number 12, I believe, he's like very distracted and he's drawing and doodling the whole time.
Yes.
And so I think this is what that film does great, is that it does a lot of great dialogue, and I just can't add it into the story. You just have to watch it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, this movie is hard to wrap up in a summary because, like you said, it's a lot of the dialogue, and just watching it, I think the sociological aspects of it are so profound, which is why it's such a great movie, I guess, why it's so highly rated and everything. I mean, I think kind of what we were talking about earlier, where going against the grain, right? Going against, it's one thing to go against the grain, but I think in this movie, since it's a timepiece technically, not only are you going against these random jurors, you're going against people that are, you guys should be quote unquote the same, right? Because you are all white men.
Right.
You should all think the same and believe all in the same. But that's why I think that this movie is so interesting, because it almost highlights like the class disparity and race disparity, obviously, because the kid on trial, he is a slum kid.
Yeah.
He's not the same as these guys in the trial or in the jury. So I think this movie just does a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Highlighting those aspects, but not necessarily harboring on them. Just you see it and you know what's happening.
Acknowledging it.
Yeah, acknowledging it.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it does that well. And then, kind of like I was saying with the dialogue, there's a lot of dialogue because there's a lot of, not racism, but a lot of, against, what would I call it? Like, discrimination.
Yeah.
Discrimination against the guy that comes from the slums, too.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes, because they think that they're better than him.
Right. And then there's also, like you were saying, they're all white guys, but one of them's a European guy.
Right.
And they kind of make that obvious, like, you're kind of not like us.
Right.
Right?
You're not like us. Kendrick Lamar. Okay, anyways.
So, yeah, I think it does a great job at that, like, highlighting those differences. And I think the dialogue also kind of hints at that.
Yeah.
That, all these little nuances that you pick up during this.
Yep.
And also during these exchanges, like, things get heated.
Yeah.
And then one thing that, I mentioned at the beginning, but you just see throughout the whole film, it's like kind of like the elephant in the room. It's super hot.
Oh, yeah.
The AC's not working. Everybody's sweating. Yeah. Everybody's sweating, except one of the guys. Supposedly he doesn't sweat.
Yeah, allegedly.
But everybody's sweating. Everybody's just, so that, I guess, gets emotions high.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
So, Juror 4 then doubts the defendant's alibi as the boy did not recall specific details. Juror 8 tests Juror 4's own memory to make a point. And, I mean, he makes a good point. I kind of forgot what I did yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And to say, like, well, yeah, you watched this, I think he saw a movie.
Yeah.
But to say, like, oh, I watched this movie, the day of the murder or whatever happened. But when there's, like, a lot of pressure, you tend to, I guess, your brain scramble.
Yeah.
Right?
You could ask me what I did yesterday. I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't remember.
I don't remember.
So Juror 2 and 5 point out that the father's stab would have angled downward, although the boy was shorter than his father. Juror 7 changes his vote out of impatience rather than conviction, which angers Juror 11. And honestly, yeah, I kind of agree with that. He is, in a way, this Juror 7, that he's a Yankee fan.
Yeah.
And Juror 12, he's the executive that's like very spaced out all the time.
Right.
Those two are the worst ones for me because they don't take the case serious.
Yeah, I feel like they, I don't know, think of it as a game or just something that they have to do, which, yes, I understand, but also, like we were saying earlier, this is someone's life on the line. You hold a lot of power.
Yeah, you do.
So it should be taken seriously. And I agree. I don't like that it's, a game to them. This is just, this is inconvenience to them.
Inconvenience, yeah.
But I guess it's realistic. I mean, I'm sure when you're on a real jury with a case this seriously, or any case really, I'm sure there's going to be that one or two people that are like, oh, this sucks. God, I wish I was doing something else. Like, yeah, we all do, but we're here now. So,
have you ever got called to jury duty?
I have.
Really?
Yeah, I went, but they told me to go home.
Really?
Yeah.
I got called once, and I didn't even have to go. They told me, like, don't even come.
Yeah.
Like, I got a little email or something.
Email.
And it told me, like, don't come.
All right.
But, it was weird because I was supposed to go on a Monday.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, man, I don't know. Kind of like you said, it is kind of an inconvenience. But it is an important thing.
Yes.
But I was like, if they call me, I'm going to take it serious. But if they don't, I'd rather they don't.
Yeah.
I guess. And anyways, it was like Friday afternoon. It was like, or actually Friday late afternoon. It was like 5 o'clock, and then I finally got the email. Yeah, don't come on Monday. Like,
all right.
I was like, oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, finally.
Because if not, I was going to have to show up Monday morning early.
Yeah, it is early. They're very early.
I was like, well, I didn't get nothing, so I'm guessing I got called. But
yeah.
Anyways. So, yeah. Juror 7, he changes his vote out of impatience, and which angers Juror 11. And after the vote, Jurors 1 and 12 also change sides, now leaving only 3 guilty votes. So, Juror 10 goes on a bigoted rant. And, we got the PG version, but I kind of would like to hear the actual, 1957 version.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be funny to hear. Which causes Juror 4 to forbid him to speak for the remainder of the deliberation. When Juror 4 is pressed as to why he still remains a guilty vote, he declares that the woman who saw the killing from the street stands as a solid witness or solid evidence, and Juror 12 then reverts his vote to guilty. That's why I said this guy is the worst.
Spineless.
Because, well, not only spineless, but he doesn't, like, he's just all over the place, you know?
Yeah, it's like any little thing, he's like, all right, you're right.
Yeah.
And somebody else across the room, no, well, I think this. Oh, okay, maybe you're right.
Right.
And it's like, oh, good grief. Come on. Think critically, please.
So in all this time, this guy hasn't actually been able to make a vote. It's like you said, he's just going with whatever.
Right, whatever's
the
popular.
shit. Yeah. So after watching Juror 4 remove his spectacles, not glasses, spectacles.
Scary.
To rub the impressions that they made on his nose, Juror 9 realizes that the first witness was constantly rubbing similar impressions on her own nose, indicating that she is a habitual glasses wearer. Even though she chose not to wear her glasses in court. Juror 8 remarks that the witness who was trying to sleep when she saw the killing would have not had her glasses on at the time to put them on, making her story questionable.
Fair.
Jurors 4, 10, and 12 all changed their votes, now leaving Juror 3 as the sole dissenter.
Listen, that was so big-brained of him because that's so true.
Yeah.
Listen, as someone who wears glasses, I can't see 2 feet in front of me, literally. There's a paper right in front of me. I can barely read that now, and I have contacts in. If I had glasses in, forget about it. Or if I didn't have my glasses on, forget about it. I would not be able to see. So you know what? This part of the movie always gets me because I'm like, that is a really profound, I don't know, what would you say? Like a profound
observation.
Yeah, a profound observation that could have easily been overlooked.
Right.
Nobody, I think 90% of people probably wouldn't even thought of that.
Right.
But that's why I think that this is so good in the movie. It's kind of like a turning point.
Right, and someone that wears glasses, you don't sleep with the glasses because it's just uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
So yeah, it makes it believable, makes the story questionable, and just adds a lot of nuance to it. So definitely. I really like it. So Juror 3, he's the guy that, if you remember when I was naming all the jurors, that he's the one that has a strained relationship with his son. Basically, in the movie, he says that he wants to make him a man and went to all this extremes to push him to be a strong man. But now I think he said he's like 22 years old or something.
Yeah.
And that he hasn't talked to him in 2 years. So I think a lot of parents, they try to, and not so much in a bad way, but they go about it a bad way to make their kids a certain way that they want them to.
Yeah.
And at the end, I feel like it just does more harm than good.
Yeah, I don't see that rarely ever turning out right.
Right. You gotta let your kids be the people they are, and whether you like it or not, but
it is what it is.
Yeah, still love them for it, So Juror 3, he desperately tries to convince the others of his argument, but realizes that his strained relationship with his own son makes him wish that the defendant was guilty.
Right.
As he keeps saying, like, these lousy kids, you give them everything and they give you nothing back. And, he breaks down in tears and he changes his vote to not guilty. And I think, I don't know, the way I grabbed this, I lean a lot towards this scene.
Yeah.
And it makes me think, because I think, as kids, we don't realize the strain that we put on our parents.
Yeah.
That true. Even if we're good kids or whatever, for the most part, you don't know the stress that we put on them.
Yeah.
And as a parent now, I see that stress that, that kids can put on you. And I don't know. The scene really talks to me.
Yeah. Definitely.
And it's really powerful that he broke down. He was this tough guy, and he finally broke him down.
Yes.
And it broke him down because it's his son. It's somebody that's very near to him.
Right.
And that he loves his son because he has this picture in his wallet and wishes that he had a better relationship with them.
Yeah.
And in a way, probably, I don't know, I guess regrets the way that it happened.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I like this scene for a different reason. I think that it just highlights the reality that every single person has a bias.
Yeah.
We all have biases because of our past experiences or lived experiences, our lives, what have you. We all are biased. So I think that this scene and this character in particular is such a pivotal point of the movie because, again, like he's this big tough guy, but also why is he so tough? Because he's hurt inside.
Right.
And he's taking it out and projecting his own feelings on this case, which has nothing to do with the kid on trial.
Yep.
But it just goes to show every single person has biases. Of course, we could try to be unbiased and be as factual and emotionless as possible, but in a high stress environment like this, jury in this movie, it's your biases and your lived experiences are going to show through. So I think that, this is a problem that happens in every single jury, and sometimes it's wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get the answer wrong.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I like that character and that point.
You know what? That was a really great point. I'd never thought of that. That's a really good point that you make. And when you bring that up, this is a quick side story.
Go ahead.
I recently had a buddy that, anyways, he was in court, for whatever reason. And, I kind of thought that the judge was kind of, what's the word to put? Not so much unfair, but it seemed like he had a bias.
Right. Exactly.
And I remember I was just thinking, like, this is a judge, though. He's supposed to try to be as unbiased as possible.
Right.
But, this guy, he was basically like a child in the chair. He was like, like rolling his eyes. I was like, this
is the judge?
This is the judge? So, yeah, that's a good point. I never thought of that these kind of biases exist as a society, as a jury, as whatever, judge, whatever you want to say. So, yeah, that's a really good point. I like that. Thank you for sharing that one.
Thank you.
That was a good one. So, yeah, as he breaks down and he changes his vote to not guilty, the others leave, and Juror 8 graciously helps Juror 3 put his coat on. And that's a good scene, too, because, this guy, number 3, has been on his ass the whole movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Trying to break him down, and he still has the civility to help him.
Yeah.
Especially because he's in a vulnerable position.
Yeah.
Right? The defendant is acquitted off-screen, and as the jurors leave the courthouse, jurors 8 and 9, they reveal their surnames, or their last names, to each other before parting ways. Number 8 is Davis. His name is Davis. And number 9 is McCardle. McCardle, yeah. So these are the only names that you ever hear in the movie.
Right.
Everybody else is just 1, 2, 3, whatever.
Yes.
And I like that. I think it's like, we always talk in these podcasts, but I really like the less is more approach.
Yeah.
I really love that. And we don't need background for everybody.
Right.
Or just a quick, we don't need like their whole life story.
Yes.
And it works just great like that. So
I like that too. I wonder if the reason why they don't have names is because it would be easier for the audience to understand.
Right.
Or if it was like a methodical choice of just assigning them numbers and not stripping away their personhood, I guess, but like, I don't know, making them, more of like personalities rather than like people.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think so. I think it is a choice on purpose because if you see, the only 2 people are the first people to switch to not guilty.
Right. That's a good point.
And it's kind of like you were saying. I think it's to kind of at first, kind of just going off of your thing. I'm piggybacking off your idea.
Right.
But I think it's just like basically everybody's just a number.
Right.
But those guys, they were the first ones to switch and go against the grain. And I guess it shows their humanity. That's why they got their names.
Ah, that's a good hypothesis.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Kind of just going off of what you said, that was, I think that's kind of why.
Honestly, I could see that. I mean, especially if they were the first ones, I feel like that makes it more memorable. Yeah. Obviously, throughout the movie, you see more and more people jumping sides, and it gets a little muddy, but I feel like as the audience, you're going to remember the first.
Yes, exactly. And they're the 2 most notable ones because first, Juror 8, he can kind of blend in with the others.
Right.
But he's the first one to say, not guilty.
Yes.
So, obviously, he has a target on his back. And the other guy and the other guy that switches next is an old man, and he's the oldest man in the room.
True.
So those 2 are very easy to note.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point.
Because the other
I didn't think
guys,
about that.
you know, like Juror 3, since he's in the movie and he's talking a lot, you can kind of,
Yes.
But a lot of these guys, you can kind of get them confused.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, is this 8? Is this 9?
Yes.
Or is this 4? Is this 3? You lose count. But yeah, so I don't know. That's a good point.
Yeah,
And
good dialogue.
so yeah, they reveal their last names to each other, and Juror 9 respects Juror 8's courage, or Davis's courage, and they shake, and then they part ways in the end.
Wow.
So great movie.
Such a good movie. If you've never seen this, definitely watch it.
You got to. I mean, this. I feel like we say this all the time, but this is one that you have to watch before you die.
Gosh, I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like, again, we say this about every film, but I think this is a movie that anyone would like.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like old movies or black and white movies or, legal movies, what have you. I feel like this, it's not so much on the legal side. I mean, yes, it touches based on legality and guilty or not guilty and the, repercussions of being on a jury and all of that. But I think that it tugs on your heartstrings.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, I don't know, when you were watching this movie for the first time, I don't know if you can think, you have pretty good memory.
Yeah.
When you think about the first time that you watched this movie, did you think that the 18-year-old kid was guilty or not guilty?
Oh, that's a good point. I've never actually, that's a good point. I never actually thought about the kid's guiltiness myself. Now, watching it now, I would kind of say that he probably wasn't guilty.
Right.
More likely.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's a good point. The first time I watched it, I really just, like you said, it kind of tugs at your heartstrings and entertaining. And obviously, I watched it in high school, so I was just happy not to be doing work.
Right, yeah. Let me just pay attention to this.
And I like the movie, but yeah, the first time I watched it, I don't remember really even thinking if the kid is guilty or not.
I mean, when I watched this, I felt for the kid. Although, in the movie, they do a good job of not necessarily... They don't tell you whether he was guilty or not. Right. After all, we don't know.
Well, it says he got acquitted.
Right. Yes, he got acquitted.
But yeah.
But we don't know. He could have done it and got acquitted. I don't know. Right. You never know.
Yeah.
But my point is that I remember watching this movie and I immediately felt so bad for the kid.
Yeah.
This 18-year-old kid, abusive father in the slums, like already not a good head start for him.
Yeah.
Which again probably ties into my biases because he's young and I'm also young, so I could see it being misunderstood and being like, oh, these kids, they don't know anything, they're just snotty-nosed brats or whatever.
Right.
So I don't know, those are just biases that I think come up, which again go back to the whole, we all live through these biases. And I think just tying it back to the main point is I feel like if you watch this movie, you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
Because it's not about the legality side necessarily, it's more about humanity.
Yeah.
And like how we interact with each other and our sociological differences and all of that.
That's true. Yeah. I'd actually like to know if this movie has any real like logistics on law. Like if this is true, if this is
right. Yes. I mean, I think obviously I don't study law. I don't know much about law, but I think reasonable doubt, that idea, the whole, big theme of this movie, I think that's definitely real.
Yeah.
There's definitely reasonable doubt.
For sure.
You can't, not everything is so black and white, especially in law.
Right.
There's a lot of nuances, a lot of fighting, a lot of different sides. Yeah. So I like the reasonable doubt theme throughout this movie.
Yeah, and I never thought about it until you said something a while ago, but one of the things I like is, you asked me if I thought he was guilty or not. Right. And I told you I never really thought of that the first time I watched it. Now I would say he's probably not guilty based on the facts and the reasonable doubt, right? But I like that they never actually showed this kid.
Yeah.
Like you never see what he looks like.
Right.
He's never shown.
Right.
You don't know anything about him.
Right.
And I like that because us as the audience, we don't already make a bias about him.
Exactly.
All we know is that he's 18 years old and a guy.
Yes.
A male. That's all we know.
Right.
We don't know anything about his background. Well, I guess we know he's from the slums, but other than that, we don't know anything else.
Yeah, like his race is never mentioned.
Nothing. His education. Nothing like that. Yes. So I really like that. I think it kind of like you said, it keeps our bias away.
Yeah, definitely. Especially going into the movie.
Yeah.
You know, I think you go in, if you know what this movie is about, I feel like, or at least I did as the viewer for the first time, I went into this thinking, okay, I'm going to try and think logically about this.
Right.
I'm going to go into this movie just, I know semi the plot, but I'm just going to go in and we're just going to see what happens. And yeah, I think that was a really good choice.
Yeah.
Not to, really harp too much on that.
Oh, yeah. No. It's this movie is just done so well, and the crazy thing is that it's the director's first movie, his debut. So
his debut was
it's fire.
good. Fire, yeah.
Sometimes I feel like that's the hardest thing when you have such a good movie at the start.
Oh man,
to try to follow that up,
Yeah, it's like singers. They always say like your sophomore album is like the most important,
right?
Because you gotta outdo the first one,
right?
Or do similar,
yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, exactly. You do your first album, and that's whatever you feel like at the time.
Right.
And then, let's just say a couple years pass by, and you probably don't think the same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
And people want the same kind of music, but it's not the same.
It's not the same.
But yeah, so this was my movie recommendation. Like I said, I really love this film. It's one of the great films, I think, of all time. And kind of like you said, I think it's just a film that everybody of any age, background can easily associate and get involved with.
Yeah, definitely.
There's some movies that it's of the time.
Yeah.
Or, it hits closer to home if you're a certain ethnicity.
Right.
Right. But this one I think is just so universal that anybody of any age, background, I think you'll love it.
Yeah.
It's very simple.
And if you don't want to watch this, watch the Family Guy version.
Do they do it? Oh, they do.
Yeah, they do Family Guy.
They do.
That's like 30 minutes. Everyone that's watching this or hearing this definitely has 30 minutes.
I do remember now that you said that. I remember that because Quagmire, he does some kind of weird thing, right?
Yeah. Man, that's a good episode.
Yeah. That's funny that you bring that up. All right, so now we're going to go to our rating system. If you don't know, 1 star is equal to 1 tub of popcorn on a scale of 10. I'll go first. To me, this is a easy 10 out of 10 tubs of popcorn. It's simple. It's amazing. It's one of the best movies, I think, of all time. Everything is just perfect. The actors, the dialogue, the setting. I like the camera angles. You can kind of I don't know. It's like you feel hot too, just watching them, right?
Definitely.
And like I said, the less is more approach to me is always gonna be great. It's always gonna be better.
It's always gonna hit.
Yeah, I guess I'm just a guy that likes simple yet well written.
Fair enough.
There's some things that can be complex and well written.
Yeah.
And in my movie recommendation, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
It's complex but well written, but I really lean to just simple stories, and I think this is one of the simplest ones, but yet done very well.
Agreed. Yeah.
So, what is yours?
My rating is 10 out of 10 tubs of popcorn.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. I mean, listen, I can go on and on and on about this movie, but I think it really boils down to one main point, that this movie was made in the 50s, correct?
50s, yep.
It is 2024 now, about to be 2025, and it still holds up.
Yeah.
This still happens every single day.
Every single day, yep.
Biases come in every single day. We all have, complicated lives that, shine through in different situations. And anyways, I think that this movie, with its, again, back to the sociological aspects of disparity of class and race and brotherhood and going against the grain and being the odd one out. It's so good, and it still stands true today. It is not a film that aged badly.
No, man. I was just doing the math on it. It's 67 years.
67 years, and this movie still hits. They should still be, I don't know if they are, but they should still be showing this in the classroom.
Yeah. No, and then like you said, it's very, it still holds up as being appropriate and, relevant to today. But it's also very, I don't know, it's just something everybody can relate to,
Absolutely.
even still now.
Yes, definitely.
Almost 70 years later.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very well said. I think it's just one of those great, timeless movies.
Exactly.
And there's not a lot.
No, there's not, but this is one of them.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll go to our movie recommendation, and since I went first on the rating, I'll let you go first on your movie recommendation. I'm excited to hear it.
Okay, my movie recommendation is To Kill a Mockingbird.
Ooh.
I love this book. I love the movie. It is so similar to this movie. If you've not, well, honestly, I recommend reading the book, but again, most people probably aren't going to read it. So if you're not going to read the book, at least like watch the movie or hear like the audiobook. You don't even have to read it. Just put it in your headphones.
So you've seen the movie?
I love the movie. The movie's so good. The book is so good. I gotta read it again.
I've never seen the movie, but I read the book.
It's so good.
Yeah.
You know, kind of the same themes of legality and going against the grain and standing up for what you think is right, even if, you know, your neighbors and everybody else does not think it's right.
Because he's like a lawyer that he's defending a black guy, right?
Yes, and it's not going well in his town.
Right.
But Atticus is standing up for it.
Atticus, yeah, and he's in like the South, right? In a little.
Yeah, I think they're like Alabama.
Yeah,
something
Alabama,
like
Arkansas, something like that.
I read this book well over 10 years ago, so it's a little fuzzy, but it's so similar to this movie that we just reviewed. So highly recommend. Love the book, love the movie, love the message, love all of it.
Is that the older version, or is there a new version?
No, it's an older.
It's an older one.
Yeah.
Okay, I think the actor's like Gregory Peck. I think he's
probably. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen it, but I never actually like watched it. I guess like I know about it.
I would recommend watching it.
Yeah, no, I gotta watch that one.
Yeah.
I was gonna mention that one, but I only read the book, so that's why I didn't want to say, because I never watched the movie. So that's a good one. I'm also gonna go on kind of the same route that you're going with, but I will be going with a classic 1959 legal drama, and it's called Anatomy of a Murder. So it stars James Stewart, who's one of my favorite actors. I'm pretty sure you know who he is. You just probably don't know him just by the name.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure you've seen him. He's one of the great actors, and he's the lead character. It's one of my favorite legal dramas. It's a weird genre to be into, but I like this genre of legal.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I like it.
Entertaining.
Courtroom dramas. I love those.
Yes.
I don't know why, but I'm a sucker for those.
No, me too.
And yeah, so it's one of my favorite legal drama films. It's about an upstate Michigan lawyer who's defending a soldier who claims he killed an innkeeper due to temporary insanity after the victim raped his wife. And like I was saying, it's just super well written, super solid. But this one is a little bit more complex than 12 Angry Men.
Right.
It has multitudes of layers, and it's one of those movies that I say a lot of things are explored and little is resolved. If that makes sense.
I like that.
Yeah, so it's a movie that leaves you thinking and wondering. I was looking it up, and there's not a streaming site that's streaming it right now, but
boo.
Hopefully it'll come up soon. But when it does, you guys should definitely watch that one. That's a really, really good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put that on my Letterboxd.
Yeah, Letterboxd. Yeah, I love that one. Seen it twice already, so it's good. And this is that. Just going real quick. That's one of those films that I think deserves a second watching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Because there's a lot of things you don't pick up.
Right.
Until the second one. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a really good film, so I highly recommend it. But yeah, if you don't have anything else to add,
I don't. I think this was a great movie to recommend or to review after a whole spooky season.
Yeah.
I think this was like a good, palate cleanser.
Yeah, that's true. I kind of miss watching the scary movies and stuff.
Yeah, me too.
The horror films, but it was good to go into something different.
Yeah, this is classic.
And this is a good way to come back.
Yeah, I think so too.
I definitely like this one, and hopefully we get another good one to review next week, or maybe in 2 weeks.
Yes.
And yeah, so if you don't have anything else to add,
I do not.
I don't either. So we can go ahead and wrap up this episode of the Movie Hour. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. See ya.
See ya.